Okay, so students, in this lesson we are going to be looking at quadratic equations and quadratic functions. You did a little bit of work with them in our last class with some applications of quadratics, and now we're going to look into a little bit more of the math behind it. So there's two ways that we can look at or talk about the quadratic functions, and there's a standard form for it and a vertex form, and both of those are kind of beneficial. It's just a matter of which one we have and which one we want to use. So standard form is the traditional ax squared plus bx plus c, and a, b, and c are just all going to be and then for vertex form, this is going to look more like what we've seen with transformations of graph. And vertex form is going to be a times x minus h squared plus k. So in this case, our vertex, and the reason it's called vertex form, is going to be h comma k. And notice here that the vertex, the x-coordinate of our vertex, and the number that's in our parentheses are going to be opposites. So what makes both of these graphs quadratics? Well, that's just simply because they're both degree 2, or the highest power in both cases is 2. So a little bit more about the vertex. You saw that in our lesson the other day, but our vertex is either going to be a maximum or a minimum value. It has to be one of those two, and it really depends on how the parabola is faced. It's going to be a maximum if we have a downward facing parabola, which simply means that a is going to be a negative number. And it's going to be a minimum if it's an upward facing parabola, which means that a is going to be positive. So when we look at vertex form, again, it's pretty easy to find the vertex because it gives it to you. If we need to find the vertex here in standard form, it's going to be negative b over 2a. That's going to give us the x-coordinate of our vertex. And then what we'll have to do is plug that value in then to find the y-coordinate. So in both cases, either standard form or vertex form, it's not too challenging to find the vertex. It's just a matter of, do I have to just look at the equation, or do I have to do a little calculation and then plug in? Okay, so the first one here is we have an equation in standard form. We want to put this into vertex form, which again is something minus something, h squared plus k is what we are going to try to get our equation to look like. So to do that, we have to do what's called completing the square. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to factor out here a negative 5. And that's going to turn into x squared minus 4x plus something, and then plus 12. So what goes in here? It's going to be b over 2 squared, which in this case is going to be negative 4. So we're going to do negative 4 divided by 2, which is negative 2, and then square that to get a positive 4. And now what we have to do is we have to do something back here to cancel out what we just did. So again, if we do negative 5 times 4, that's a negative 20 we added. So to cancel that out, we're going to have to do the opposite of that, which is positive 20. Again, when we multiply these two or we distribute, that's what the negative 20 comes from. And then the positive 20 is going to be the opposite of that. So now I can continue with my completing the square process. This is going to be negative 5. Now this quantity here is going to be x minus 2 squared. And this piece we're going to add to get 32. So in this case, our vertex of this, so this is vertex form. So our vertex is going to be the point 2 comma negative 32 of this graph. All right, so at this point, you can stop the video and move on to the next one, which is going to look more at finding the vertex of functions based on what form you're given.